Shalom. I wanted to share with you, this is my second video on this series, and this series is that the church is one religion and Judaism is another, and that it's not the same religion, and they don't worship the same God. The God of creation, the God of the Bible, is the God of what they call the Old Testament, and we call the Jewish Bible. And the reason they called it the Old Testament is because they wrote a lot of stuff in the New that we don't know where it came from. It came from man, not from God. And those things make it a different religion. And because they say a man is God, so it also makes it another God, which is a problem. Because God is a jealous God, he says in the scriptures. And there will be no other except him. He is the only God, says scripture. And so it's very easy for man to make false gods, which then becomes a situation of idolatry. And if you look like in Jeremiah chapter 2, you'll see some intense words from the Almighty as to what he thinks about idolatry. There is a place for everybody in this world before God. For Jewish people, it's to be a good Jew and obey the commandments and the statutes. I remember speaking to a pastor not long ago, and he said, no, we're not under the law, we're under grace. I said, well, let's look up Leviticus chapter 26. And from like verse 13 on, it talks very clearly about if you will obey my commandments and my statutes. He doesn't say laws. Laws are rabbinical laws, and they come from God as well, because we call biblical commands midoraisa, and we call, when rabbis make commands on the basis of biblical commands, like laws about the Sabbath, that those are considered commandments. Those are rabbinical commands. So the whole situation is, a lot of people say, well, that's the rabbis, that's not God directly. But in Deuteronomy chapter, I believe it's 17, verses 9 through 11, somewhere in there, close if not there, it states that we are to listen to the rabbis of our times, and those who don't want to listen to them, take them out and purify Israel. And you know what that means. So bottom line is that even rabbinical commands are actually biblical commands on a little lower level. But they are. And they're not laws. They're commands from God. And God starts out couple of different chapters. I believe in the beginning of Leviticus 26, he says, I'll bless you coming in, bless you going out, bless your livestock, nobody will miscarry, and all these blessings that are going to occur. And then God says very clearly, but if you don't want to obey my commands, and then starts 98 curses. So no one in this world has the option of not obeying God. Anything that does not obey God is sin. And sin has its payback, as we call it, because sin causes spankings, and blessings and obedience to God causes reward. And there is really nothing else, and there's no way to avoid that. And even if people feel like they're getting away with stuff for a long time, eventually the blank hits the fan in everybody's life. So what's important is to realize that God is, that his word is a reality in our life. His word is an instruction book. And I'm talking about, if you don't find it in the Jewish Bible and what they call the Old Testament, you can be sure it didn't come from God. There is nothing new. It says God is the same yesterday, today, and forever. God does not change. We need to change to become more obedient to him. Okay, my almost 5 minutes is, oh boy, we went over 5 minutes today. I try to make these short and sweet because it's a lot of stuff in a little bit of time. Something for you to digest and meditate on. And we'll come back for another video again. That will be video 3. This one is 2. Have a great day. Shalom, shalom.